Yeah, well, it'll hook up, hopefully eventually. If not, it's okay because
I
I
don't,
can,
I don't, I don't think we're live right now. I don't think
I
you
can,
have con.
it's okay. I can post it from my computer.
Oh, okay.
If it doesn't go, no big deal. There's a solution for everything. If they really want to hear it, they can come in on Zoom. Don't be shy. Okay, let's get started. Yeah, I think we pretty much finished here. This chapter. Gotta go to the next one. Yeah, we're done. So we'll go to. Oh yeah, there is more here. We have Vav. I don't think we did this one. So we'll do Vav. No, I'm sorry. No. We need a new chapter. New chapter. Okay, so it says over here in the Tur, En meshalachin igrot be'ad goy be'erev Shabbat. Right, so we're talking about sending mail, right, on right before Shabbat. So the question is, can you give the mail to the goy right before Shabbat so he could take it? So let's look at the Tur. So it says be'erev Shabbat on Friday you shouldn't do that. V'dal u'behei, but on Wednesday and Thursday it's allowed. Mutar. V'asikna im pasak imo bedamim. But the conclusion is like this, right? If they made a set price, yadua, afilu ayin sham erev Shabbat, even on Friday, it's okay. Samuch lechashicha, even if it's right before sunset, mutar, it's allowed. Ve'im lo pasakimo, but if they didn't make a set price, im yesh be'ir shehu shalach oto sham ish yadua. So if there is in the town like a post office kind of thing. So he's in charge of all the mail, you know. And he brings it right away, right, when it's something is sent over. Mutar, afilu be'erev Shabbat. So then it's allowed even on Friday to give it to him. But if there is still time in the daytime, if there is time in the daytime, right, כדי שיוכל להגיע לבית הסמוך לחומה. That he should be able to get to the house which is closest to the wall, the ear of the town. שהוא שלוח, that is sent there. שם. ואם אין אדם ידוע בעיר לקבל כתבים, but if there's no post office there, right, in the town, אין משלחין אותו בערב שבת, so then we cannot send it on Friday, except, אלא אם כן קצץ, unless they made a set price. בד' וה' מותר. But anyway, right, Wednesday and Thursday it's allowed. והרמב"ם ז"ל כתב, לא קצץ אסור לשלח לעולם. Oh, so Rambam says, right, if they didn't make a set price, it's always forbidden to send something like that. Okay, interesting. That's the whole chapter. Okay, so let's see the Bet Yosef. So it says Bet Yosef here, he brings a source, Braita Perek Kama the Shabbat. It's a Braita on the first perek of Shabbat, Daf Yutet, right, 19a. Ve'asikna de'achi kamar. So the conclusion there is that it says like this: En meshalchin igrot. We don't send letters biad goy be'erev Shabbat, by way of a goy in erev Shabbat. Ela im ken katzatz lo damim, unless they set the price. Ve'im lo katzatz bet, right? If they didn't set the price, Bet Shammai omrim kedei sheyagia lebeto levet. Bet Shammai says you need enough time to get to his house. But Hillel omrim, Bet Hillel says you need to kedei sheyagia lebet hasamuch lechoma, in order to get to the house which is next to the wall. Ve'amrat resha en meshalchin. But didn't you tell me in the beginning we don't send it? So Gemara answers, lo kashya, no difficulty. Ha de kavia bedoar, that's when you have a post office, bemata, in that town. Ha de lo kavia bedoar betamada. Or right, the other cases where there is no post office in the town. Today, every place has a post office, right? So, you know, not really a problem. Operesh Rashi lebet hasamuch. So Rashi explains, right, what does that mean, the house which is close to the wall? Right, to the wall of the city that it was sent there. Doar, right? So what is doar? Shilton ha'ir velo ragilin לשלוח איגרות, right? It's like a post office, as we said, right? Postal authority. Okay. So then it says, the la kavia lemata. It's not fixed in the town. ואם לא ימצאנו, יהיה צריך ללך אחריו בשבת. And if he doesn't find him, right, he's gonna have to look for him, on Shabbat. כתבו את הריף, says the Rif, והראש, and the Rosh also. שמינן אשתא, היכא דקצץ לו דמים, we learn from here that when he, right, made a set price, משלחין בין מגיע בין לא מגיע. So then we can send it whether he's going to arrive there or not. והיכא דלא קצץ, but if he did make a set price, קצץ לו דמים, עיר קביע דואר במטה, then if there's a post office, אין משלחין, we don't send it. אלא בכדי שיגיע לבית הסמוך לחומה. Then we have to have enough time to get to the house which is close to the wall. ואלא, and if not, right. Yeah. So it says, "Ve'ela kavia doar b'mata." If there's no post office there, and meshalchin klal, then we don't send it all. Ela im kenan, unless katzatz, unless he made a set price. So today we have both. You have a set price, and you also have a post office. So we can be pretty much lenient with that. So what does that mean? That a person can go, to like the post office or the mailbox and just put his mail in there right before Shabbat, that's not really a problem. Okay, so then he goes on. Unless they made a set price, as we said. Perush do'ar yesh ish yadua shekol katav elav yoval. So he says, what does it mean? Right? It means that there's a post office there, right? Everybody sends it by that. Vehu maskir umshaleach kol igeret. So this guy sends everything, right? All the mail. Lemishen mishtalcha elav. Whoever was sent to. V'chen katav Rambam. That's what it says in Rambam Perek Vav. Ela shenir'eh midbarav. But it seems from his words of the Rambam. Shu mefaresh she habed doar kavua be'ir. So he says, right, regarding the post office in the town, shemimenu sholchin naktav. That from there they send the letters. V'tzarich shehut beyom, and you need enough time in the daytime. K'dei she'agia lebet hasamuch, to get to the house which is close by there. What does that mean, close by? Close by to the wall. Shehu bet rachok meshavir, which is right, the house which is the most distant in the town. Kodem Shabbat, before Shabbat. Shema beto u sham, because maybe he lives there, this guy. Okay, that's the Rambam. So now we're going to see, there's more Bet Yosef here before we get to Shulchan Aruch. This one. Yeah, let's take a look at this. And then he says, "Umach katzat b'shem Rambam." That what you wrote, name of the Rambam, the tour. The im lo katzat asur l'shaleach leolam. That if you didn't make a price, it's always forbidden. Klomar de'afilu berevi'i u'bechamishi asur. So it says Bet Yosef. That means that even on Wednesday and Thursday, it's forbidden. L'shaleach belo katzat, without setting the price. Im lo kavia bedoar, unless you have a post office, as we said. Sharei lo chilek ben erev Shabbat lerevi'i bechamishi. Because he didn't differentiate with Erev Shabbat, right? Between Erev Shabbat and Friday or Thursday and Wednesday. So he said that's the opinion of the Rif as well. Shagam hu ishmit Braita Tesharia berevi'i u'b'chamishi. He also left out this Braita that it's allowed, to do it on Wednesday and Thursday. U'lefi da'atam. So it says, according to their opinion, צריך לומר דהד דתנו רבנן, to say, right, that which we learn in the Braita, en meshalachin igrot, that we don't send letters be'ad goy with a goy be'erev Shabbat. Lav davka erev Shabbat. This not only la Shabbat. Ela kol she'ena melacha naaset kodem Shabbat. It's referring actually to when the labor is not done before Shabbat. Kerele erev Shabbat. It's called erev Shabbat. Va'afilu miyom rishon. This is even from Sunday. Enami, alternatively, Nakat Erev Shabbat le'ashmuinan, it said Erev Shabbat to teach you, katzatz afilu be'erev Shabbat mutar, that when he makes a price, set price, then it's allowed on Friday. Okay, great. Katava Gaon Mari Avuhav. So this rabbi says, Zal, B'Shem Rashba, name the Rashba, Sheim katzatz ve'amar lelech b'Shabbat, if he made a set price, right, and he said to go on Shabbat, asur, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to tell him to do it on Shabbat, right? Regardless. V'chein kateva kolbo, that's what it says in kolbo. V'chein mashma midivrei samag. That's what it implies in the samag. V'atruma, and the truma. Shkatvu dehad matirin bet Hillel im hashemesh. They wrote that Bet Hillel allows, right, with the with sunset. Hainu shagoy osem melacha melav. That means that the goy does labor by himself. Aval eno matir lomar lo laasot hamelacha b'Shabbat. But it doesn't allow him to do labor on Shabbat. V'chein katab Rabbeinu b'siman reish nun bet. That's what also the Torah says as well. When he so it seems to be says that it seems to me that Hainu Dafka Kashakatzatza Israel Imo Lelech b'Shabbat. That's when the Jew made a set price to go on Shabbat. Aval ima goy miatzmo amar lelech b'Shabbat. But if the goy wants to do it on his own volition on Shabbat, that's no problem. We don't care about that. Shara debedideh tarach, because he's doing it for himself. Kedel sheitul sachar, in order they should take his fee. V'chevan sheYisrael lo tzivahu, and since the Jew didn't really command him to do it on Shabbat, sheilech b'Shabbat, shara, therefore it's allowed. So this is the pretty much the parameters over here of this halacha. And according to this, right, what we see here, somebody asked me about, like when you get deliveries, from internet suppliers, like Amazon and stuff, are you allowed to ask them to bring it on Shabbat? So from here we see, right, that you cannot check the box that, says to bring it on Shabbat. If you're getting an order on the internet. So what you should do is, to pick another day. Because you can't ask him directly to bring it on Shabbat. But on the other hand, right, if he brings it on his own volition on Shabbat, then there's not a problem. So if he does bring it on Shabbat and you didn't ask him, you're allowed to even use it if you need it, to use that thing. As long as it's not muktzah, That's the way it works. Let's go to Shulchan Aruch. Gotta bring it up. Okay. Reish Mem Zayin. Not this one. This one. So it says here, Sholeach Adam Iget Beyad Eno Yudi, right? A person is allowed to send a letter by a goy. ואפילו בערב Shabbat, right? Even Erev Shabbat im chashecha, right before darkness. והוא שקצץ לו דמים. But that's only when they set a price. ובלבד שלא יאמר לו שילך בשבת. But he's not allowed to tell him to do it on Shabbat. Let him do whatever he wants. You know, if he wants to do it on Shabbat, that's his business. ואם לא קצץ, but if there's no set price, לא קביע בדואר, if there's no post office there, במטה, in the town, אסור לשלוח אפילו ביום ראשון. So then you're not allowed to send it even on Sunday. ואקביע, wow. וכביע במטה, but if there is a post office, אסור לשלוח אפילו ביום ראשון. I'm sorry. בדואר במטה, if there is a post office, I'm sorry. משלחין אפילו בערב שבת, you're allowed to even send it on Friday. והוא שיהיה שהות ביום כדי שיוכל להגיע לבית הסמוך לחומה. That's only if he has time, right, to get to the house which is closest to the wall. Okay. So let's see Mishnah Berurah, right? Why this wall business? What's the purpose of that? So he says, שנשתלח שם, כלומר לבית ראשון מבפנים. He doesn't really give the reason here. So according to what we saw in the Bet Yosef, the reason is like this: that if he doesn't have enough time, to get to that house, that means that you're basically telling him to break Shabbat because there's no other way for him to bring that thing. So it becomes like a fait accompli, right? Fait accompli. It's like there's no other way for him to do it. He has to break Shabbat. So therefore, that's the reason why they require you to do that. Um, so here's the thing, right? That nowadays, first of all, we don't really have walled cities. We don't really have this concept. Most of the cities today are not walled. It's very, very rare. Usually, like only ancient cities are walled today. So if that's the case, right, then how do we measure it? That's the question. So let's just see. Let's go back to Bid Yosef 1 second, see how he explains this. Mhm. I have to bring it up. I think I lost it. One more time. Okay, so okay, so Rashi says like this. that when we're talking about the house, which is close to the wall, that means that city which it's being sent to, the letter. So if that's the case, right, the purpose of that is as we explained, right, which is that otherwise he just won't have enough time, to it'll be impossible for him to do it otherwise. But the question is, does that apply today, nowadays, right? This concept. So apparently, I would say it doesn't apply. Why? Because now, you go to the post office, right, and you put the mail in there or the mailbox. You're not really expecting them to pick it up now and take it. He's gonna come tomorrow, whatever it is, right, on his own schedule. So, it's not really the same thing. So therefore, I don't think this concept applies at all. So therefore, right, for us, that we don't have this kind of concept. So when does it apply? It applies when you're giving it, like handing it over to the mail courier, who's going to take it himself now to the destination. I mean, that's not the case when how we, that's not how we work with the post office, right? You put it in there and they work on their own time, timetable, they don't take it right away when you give it to them. So therefore, right, it doesn't really apply this whole thing. Okay, right, so that's the idea. So therefore, for us, you could put the mail right in there, before Shabbat. Not really a problem. Even though he's not going to take it now, he's going to take it later. So what? What do I care? It's not my business. I just wanted to get there. That's all I care. I don't care when he does it. I don't care. How he does it. What does it make? No, it makes no difference to me. That's the thing. So therefore, it should not be a problem at all. Yeah, that's pretty much as we said. So, okay, what else we got here? Let's see Shulchan Aruch. Let's finish it. There's something left. Yeah, there's a Ramah here. So the Ramah says, "V'yesh matirim afilu lo katzatz." Right. So some even allow if it didn't, even if it didn't set a price. Afilu lo kavia bedor mematan. Even there's no post office there. B'shalecho bayom. As long as he sends it in the daytime. Hey, right on Thursday or kodem lechem or before. V'yesh tismoch alayu im tzrichim lechach. So he says you can rely on this, if it's necessary. But the truth is, for us, it's not necessary at all, as we don't really need this, because the way it works by us, that we don't really have this problem. So therefore, right, you just put it in, and as they say, set it and forget it. That's it, right? Put it in there and forget it. Let them do their job. It's not your business. On the other hand, though, right? Here's the thing, if let's get a little bit deeper here into this. What about if you're sending FedEx, right? So that's supposed to get there, let's say you're doing like 1 day or 2 day, so that when you send FedEx, it's an express, it's supposed to get there like really, really fast. 1 day, 2 days. So if there's not enough time for them to take it, uh, within that 1 day or 2 days, and for sure they're gonna have to break Shabbat. So then you got a problem, you shouldn't do that really. So FedEx is a little bit different, because they're doing express, it's like fast. They got to be there on time. So if they can get there on time without having to break Shabbat, then it's possible. Otherwise, it's not possible. So you got to make that calculation, when you send it with FedEx, that there's enough time for them to do the job without having to do it on Shabbat. Otherwise, don't do it. So, for instance, I'll give you an example, right? Let's say, I'm sending my FedEx on Friday. Okay. Now I'm sending it to Israel, and it's supposed to be there on Sunday. Right. So, the question is, can they get it there on Sunday without having to break Shabbat? So if there is enough time, to do that, because there's the flight is like 12 hours. I don't know, God knows what. Right. So if there's 12 hours there where they can get it there on Shabbat, on Sunday, then it's okay. So you got to make that calculation, that there's time for that. Okay, interesting. Very nice. Let's move on to bed. So it says here in Bet Yosef, "V'zeh lashon Rashba b'tshuvato," right? There's a tshuva of the Rashba. Shalta katzat amur beperek kama the Shabbat. So he says like this, right? You asked me a question regarding what it says, right? You need a set price, about this issue. מהו שאני סבור דלא סוף דבר קצץ בתחילה, שיאמר כך וכך אתן לך, אלא כל שעושה על מנת שפרעו, אף על פי שלבסוף יתפשר עמו. מותר. So now, interesting question, right? What about if he didn't really set a price, a fixed price? But on the other hand, he knows that he'll pay him in the end. But there's going to be some negotiations about the price. So maybe that's okay, since he's just coming to exclude here when you're working for a year or lechodesh or for a month. Uh, So there, the goy is not really benefiting from that, and therefore, right, he's really doing it for the Jew, not for himself. That's the question that they asked the Rashba. Now, here's the tshuva, right? The answer. Let's see. Tshuva, Ivra, lav katzatz mamash kamar. Umiu mistabad shekatzatz o sheitna imo sheiten lo scharo. Oh, so he says, really, the truth is, it's not talking really about a fixed price, but rather what it means is that he knows, like, I'll pay you, don't worry, it'll be okay, you'll get paid. He knows he'll get paid. So he says, right, the hashta bedide ka'asik. So now, right, if that's the case, he's really doing it for himself, the goy, which is good. Aval bastam lo. But he says if it's just regular, meaning what? He didn't tell even assure him that he's going to give him the money. Even though right the goy pretty much knows that the Jew will give it to him, he relies on that. או מי שנשתלח לו שכר והתפשר לפי שכל שלא קצץ. So he says, or somebody that was sent to him the wage, the fee, and then he's gonna, they're gonna negotiate about that. לפי שכל שלא קצץ ולא יתנה לו שכר, אין דעת הגוי לסמוכה בכך. So it says, you know why? Because if you didn't really set a price, the goy is not really sure if he's going to get paid, He's a little bit worried about that. He's a little bit weary about, getting stiffed with no payment. Ah, okay. So, Bisrael Kasik, right? So therefore, right, he's really doing it for the Jew. So therefore, the Rashba seems to say here that if there is not a set price, there's a problem. So let's go to Shulchan Aruch and see how he paskins, right, with this Rashba, how he understands it. Okay, fine. So it says in Shulchan Aruch, Im hitana imo shiteno scharo, right? Let's say they made up to give him his fee, right? Afa pisha lo piresh kama iteno, but they didn't really set a price. Yeah, I'll pay you, but no set price. Do you know kekotzetz? So he says in Rashba, right? That's considered to be like there is a set price. That's the way he paskins. So Shulchan Aruch goes like that. So therefore, right, the goy knows that he's going to get paid. Why? Because the Jew assured him, right, I will pay you. Don't worry. So once he has his word, he feels confident, right? He feels secure. So Rashba says that's okay. But now on the other hand, right? What about if he didn't even tell him nothing? Just gave it to him and said, "Yeah, take it, take it." But wait a second, did you tell me you're gonna pay me? No. So then the goy is really worried over here. Maybe this guy's gonna stiff me. No payment. So there's already a problem, right? That's what the Rashba is saying here, right? The Shulchan Aruch here. So if that's the case, right? That's how we paskin halacha, right? This Rashba is amazing. Shulchan Aruch goes like it. So what's the conclusion? What do we learn from here? What's the takeaway? The takeaway is that even if you didn't make a price, but you assured him you'll pay him, that's good enough. But if you didn't even do that, right? Didn't even assure him you're going to pay him, no obligation, right? Nothing. So there it's not no good. So then it's going to be forbidden, right, to do it like that. So it says right like this: Aval bastam afa pi sheyesh b'dato sheiten lo schar. Even though the Jews intends to give it to him, but the problem is he didn't say nothing. He didn't say anything. Asur, then it's forbidden. De lo samcha date ubede Israel katarach, because he doesn't rely on that, right? And the Jew does not feel secure, and therefore he's doing it for the goy. I'm sorry, does not feel secure. Did I say the Jew? The goy doesn't feel secure, and therefore he's doing it as a favor to the Jew, and that's no good. We don't want that. So therefore, that's the story right there. Okay. So this is important halacha. But the truth is, for us, it's not so important. Why? Because we always have a set price. You know what I mean? Before you send the mail, there is a set price. You know what I mean? So there's nothing to talk about. No matter what it is, right? You're gonna have to have a set price there. Otherwise, they won't even touch your mail. They're gonna weigh it, right? And they're gonna tell you, oh, it weighs 3 ounces, right? Okay, you gotta pay $50 to send it to Israel, right? Whatever, right? So that's it. You gotta, then there is a set price. So for us, it's not really a big issue, this issue. But good to know anyway, right? Just in case. Just in case. Okay, great. So let's go to Gimel. We got 10 more minutes. I hope the Facebook is up by now. Otherwise, I'm just going to upload it. No big deal.
It is. It is.
It is up? What? The question is, when did it start? Right? Did it start somewhere in the middle, or right? Because if it started in the middle, I'm gonna delete that, right, and upload it again. The whole thing from scratch.
It says 38 minutes, so
38 minutes.
yes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna check that afterwards, Bezat Hashem. I'm gonna check it out. That sounds pretty good. 38 minutes, not bad. Sounds pretty good. Okay. Okay, fantastic. So let's go to Gimel. They have like a new policy now, in Facebook, that anything you upload, anything you do live there, it gets deleted in 1 month.
Oh, I did not know. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, they sent me some letters about that, and so therefore I have to move it to YouTube. Because Facebook will not hold it more than a month.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the story.
not good.
What can you do? They must be having memory problems. Maybe they're running out of memory. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Okay, so let's see what we got here. So it says here like this. As we said, right? Uberevi b'chamishi mutar. But either way, right? Wednesday and Thursday it's allowed. So all that we spoke about, right, was regarding setting it on Friday, but Wednesday and Thursday is more lenient. So let's see what we got here regarding that. So says Bet Yosef, Bright Sham Arif V'Arif Rambam Hishmitua. Oh, look what it says, right? So the Rif and the Rambam left this out, right? This Braita. So meaning what? That means that they don't hold by it. That it's allowed on Wednesday and Thursday. Katavua Kitavua Ve'aran Kitavua, but the Ran wrote it and Rosh, right? Rosh Ve'aran Kitavua. The Rosh and the Ran, they did write it. Upirsha Ran, so Ran explains, Ubeshelo Katzatz, right? We're talking about a case where they didn't make a set price. Kigon Sacharu Le'amim. For instance, he hired him for days, right? For a few days. Davar Katsuv, and there's a set price there. Bechol Yom, every day, right? Set rate every yom, every day. Be'alichato v'chazarato, when he goes and comes, right? Goes and comes back. Ela she'eno makpid imo matay yelech. But he's not really right so particular about the time that he's going to leave, the time of the departure. So so it's in a case like this, Erev Shabbat, right? Asur. It's going to be forbidden on Erev Shabbat. Dechevan shehu sochro layamim, because since he is hiring him for days, right? Several days, whatever. Hu sochro be'erev Shabbat, and he's right telling him to send it on Erev Shabbat. כשיוצא בשבת, so when he goes out on Shabbat, נראה כאילו התנה עמו, so it looks like they conditioned that right כך that he should do it on Shabbat. אבל ברביעי ובחמישי, but it says but when it comes to Wednesday and Thursday, מותר, it's allowed. Why? הואיל ואינו מקפיד עמו מתי ילך, because he's not really particular about when he's going to go. So as we said, right, this is only in a case where they didn't make a set price, but if they did, that's not really a problem either way. Or as we said, right, or you have a post office. So this is not really so practical for us because we do have a post office and we have a set price. Anyway, right, let's see what it says in Shulchan Aruch so we understand here what's going on. Says Shulchan Aruch, im secharo le'amin, right. So what about if he hires him, like on a daily basis? Davar katsu, but he gives him every day, certain amount of money. Bechol yom b'alichato v'chazarato, right? Going back and coming back, going forth and coming back. Ela she'eno makpid imo matay lech, but he's not particular about when he's gonna go. Imhu be'erev Shabbat. So he says if it's on Friday, asur, it's gonna be forbidden. Ksheyotzeh b'Shabbat nireh keilu tina imo yikach. Because when he goes out, right, on Shabbat, in a case like this, it seems like he conditioned this, right? He made a condition. It looks like it, to people, the onlookers, they see it like that. They get suspicious of it. So, so what do we see from here, right? That even though the Rif and the Rambam left out this Braita, nevertheless, the Shulchan Aruch did bring it, in the manner that the Ran set it up. In this manner only, right? So meaning what? It doesn't apply in any other manner. Only in this manner. So I'll read it again one more time, right? Just to make sure we got it straight. All right. So he says like this, right? What's the manner that the Ran describes this halacha? He says it applies when, the male guy, right? The mailman is getting a daily wage to do the job, and but on the other hand, right? He's not really particular when he's going to go. But it says if this is going to be on Erev Shabbat, it's going to be forbidden to do it this way. Why? Because if they see him going on Shabbat, they're going to think that he's doing it right. He told them to do like that. So why is it? Why is it that this looks suspicious? What's the reason why? The reason is because he's a daily worker, right? He's not really getting he's not being paid per item or per job, right? That looks more like he's an employee of the Jew. This is the problem. The truth is, by us in our current situation, we don't really have this problem. So anyway, right? So take it what it's worth, right? For what it's worth, I gotta tell you, right? Not really so practical, but at least you understand the concept here, right? What they're trying to explain to you here. Okay, so yeah, we got plenty more here. So let's see what we can do here. So maybe, yeah, we got 3 minutes. Maybe we can do something in 3 minutes. Let's see what we can do. Dalit. Let's see if we can find Dalit. Here it is. Aha, okay. Yeah, this is not really so big. Okay, I think we can handle it. Let's see. וכתב עוד שאם הגוי אמר לישראל שרוצה להוליך לו כתב בחינם. Ah, so what about if the goy, right, tells the Jew, this is a very nice goy, right, tells him, you know what, I'll do it for free, forget about it, right? Well, what's a couple of dollars between me and you? I'll do it for you for free, right? Uh, so he says, מקום שהוא רוצה נראה אפילו בערב שבת שרה. So he says, if he wants to do that, right? In other words, out of his own volition, he volunteered to do it for free. So he says, then it's allowed to give it to me on Friday. Why? Because he's doing it, on his own volition. So he's just doing him a favor, It's not really like a wage over here. He's doing him a favor. You know why people do favors, right? Nobody does you a favor for nothing. They expect something in return. Right? So he's going to expect something in return later down the road, right? Sometime. But the point is, right now he's doing it for free. So it's really for himself, he's not really getting much, nothing there. Whatever he got from him. So therefore, right, since he expects something, a favor in return, the goy, right, it's as if like they set a price. That's what he says. Oh. אין להתיר במי ששלח אגרות ולא קצץ מתחילה במה שיש לו לקצץ אחר כך. But he says, on the other hand, right, we shouldn't allow in a case where he sent letters, right, and they didn't make a set price. And then they could do a set price afterwards. שהרי במה שהגוי הולך במלאכתו לישראל, כך תראה. Because now he's doing it for the Jew, if that's the case. So therefore it's not allowed. Okay, that's the Bet Yosef. So let's see Shulchan Aruch and we'll stop there. So says Shulchan Aruch, let's say, right, the goy wants to do it for free. Right? He likes this as a Jewish guy, right? Or as we said, right, he expects a favor in return, אפילו נתנה לו בערב שבת, even if he gave an ערב שבת, מותר, it's allowed. שהרי אינו יהודי מאליו הוא עושה, זה אינו ולא לחזיק טובה לישראל מפני מה שקיבל ממנו, והוא להבה לקבל קצצץ. So therefore he says it's allowed. Why? Even ערב שבת. Why? Because it's like, they set a price. Why? Because, they return favors to each other, So if he's going to do it for you, something like that, you're going to also do something for him. So there is a price on that. There's a price tag there. That's why it's allowed. That's what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. So comes the Rama and says, "Ve'esh cholkim usfira lehu dechol she'oseh bechinam asur." So he brings a stringent opinion, right? That some say if he's doing it for free, it's forbidden. But tov le'achamir, it's good to be stringent, he says. אבל במקום שאינו יהודי מתחיל עם ישראל לומר שילך לו בחינם. But if the goy volunteered out of his own volition, right? ודאי דעתו על הטובה שיקבל ממנו. So then for sure, right, there's an exchange of favors going on, בשערי. So even the Rama, right, agrees that if the goy volunteered to do so, right, out of his own volition, it's okay, no problem, right? Either way. So That's usually the way it is, right? The guy comes and says, "I'll do it for free." But today, nobody takes mail for free, right? Forget about it, right? Yeah, good luck with that one. Try to find a post office that'll send for free. Right? So therefore, right, we don't really have that today. But it's good to know the concept here. Okay, thanks for coming. Be blessed with wealth and health and happiness. Chazak Baruch. Laila Tov, and we'll see you. When are we going to see you? Oh, it's going to be a while, right? Because tonight is Erev Shabbat, and then we got Shavuot. So probably we're going to see you Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Thank you. So have a great Shabbat and have a great holiday. Chag Kasher v'Sameach.